Okay, so now you see black screen. We just have to start a new project. So let me, yeah. So you see you have a blank page or file new. It has a very, as you see, it has a very limited, how do you say? I mean, a very few buttons. Toolbar, yes, a very limited toolbar. So you can just start new or click on this blank page. You see one option here is Athens non-motorized. It's like we said, the network of non-motorized, meaning all streets that are accessible to pedestrians, including those shared with cars, of course, so the basic, the general network. What is excluded is the highways, motorways, you know, the Kifissos, for example, I mean, the roads that are inaccessible. If we would have, we could have here also motorized, depends. So then you could choose. But now we have one option. As you see already here, you see a very basic description that helps a little bit if you have different choices. Non-motorized network excludes, blah, blah, blah. So you see already. So you open. And then you see the network of Athens appearing. You can zoom in and out using the mouse wheel or whatever. And in the side, on the right side, you see the layers that are included. You can play, I mean, you can switch on and off as you see the different layers, and then you see the points of attractions popping up. For example, you have schools, you have playground squares, what we said, current subway, metro stops and future, bus and trams, local markets, meaning it's a combination of retail, so commercial activities, but also restaurants, cafes, small services, meaning the shoemaker or the tailor. So this very basic daily services, along with the grocery store, supermarkets, restaurants, cafes, stuff like that. This we call local markets. You also have the buildings. As you see, the network, there is a layer that is called municipal boundary. This is good to know because as you see, the street network covers a larger area than the municipal border, and that is to make sure that the analysis, the network analysis of the streets is correct. Otherwise, the streets that would be close to the municipal border would appear disconnected. But as we said, the city is not an island. The administrative border is nothing, basically. It's a made-up legal boundary. So the network, to have an accurate network analysis, needs to cover a larger area than the study area. The study area, in our case, is the municipality. And then you see that the buildings and the other attractions cover the municipal border. So when we do accessibility analysis, for example, we only take into account the streets within the municipal border in terms of results. Because if we only have the schools within the municipality, we cannot draw conclusions for outside the municipality since we do not have the schools there. Okay, it makes sense, right? Okay, if you just switch off the attraction layers and we just keep the network, what we see is that I will switch off the buildings as well. You see also a background layer that is the railways. So the tracks, we will use this for the exercise as well. But I mean, it's a layer. It's good. It's good to have this layer on the background. But you also see some green circles. Can you do you understand what these are? So these are the points, we call them unlinks. These are the points of bridges or tunnels. Okay, so where you have a green circle, this means that the streets do not connect directly. This is very important when you want to do an accurate network analysis, especially if we would analyze the motorized network, because there you have these highways and then you have bridge and tunnel situations. It would be wrong to consider this as a connected streets, okay? And this is something to keep in mind. Also, I will show you now when we add streets. If you add a street that is actually a pedestrian bridge, for instance, you need to take this into account. I will show you. Okay, but this is the basic layers. And then if we want to see, okay, so this is the existing situation. This is as things are now without any interventions. Let's say, okay, we analyze the existing situation now, okay? And that means you have an analysis tool. Oh. What is happening with the mouse? Sorry, I cannot sync the mouse with the, okay. Oh. Here you have the analysis tool, the button. If you click on that, what happens? Here I cannot. No. Άνοιξε το να πάρω το video. Okay, so now it's switched off. Let's do it again. Είναι το Zoom τώρα που προσπαθώ εγώ να... Okay. Sorry, because we are connected to Zoom, it's a little bit, yeah. Anyway, so when you click the analysis button, you see all the available analysis here. Basically what I described before. So we have network centrality. You see them categorized in themes. Three angular betweenness scales, the very local scale, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. As you see, when I click on each one, you get a short description on the side that reminds you what this is, basically. Then we have build density, accessible FSI, accessible GSI, again with a short description, and the proximity. Shortest distance to tram stops, shortest distance to local market. So how far is the nearest? Again, short description, and then the reach, accessible bus and tram stops within 500 meters, accessible local markets within 500 meters, and so on. So all the available analyses are here. You can select all of them if you want, or you can select some of them. Let's say that you can select all of them, and then you start. And then you see that the analyses are quite fast starting to complete. And then on the side, you have different layers with the analysis results. You can then switch on and off, basically. So you get a new window that is called map analysis. So we have map 1, you can save it as and give it a name. And then you have the analysis of this. So one window is the map where we will draw later. And the other one is the analysis results. So now it's done. As you see, it's quite fast. I don't know, it depends, of course, on the machine you have, the laptop you have, and so on, but it doesn't take much. And then you can switch and change the different analysis. between the different analyses. Let me know, do you see them? Is it done? Not yet, okay. So let's give it a little bit more time. But for those who have, if you have finished, you can explore a little bit. So we have the, you know, zoom in and out. We have the centrality analysis, for example, the different scales. But then also you have the shortest distance to current and future metro stations, distance to parks and green. What you see is also the legend here. So for instance, now I have shortest distance to parks and green. You have the legend that is also kind of an informative, predefined legend with the colors. And that means with red, you see the streets that have a park within 100 meters walking distance. And then the ones with blue have a park further than 3 kilometers, for example, okay? But beware, listen, look at that. So here, for example, that's why I said the informative results for the accessibility are within the municipal borders. Why? Because since parks, we don't have the parks in the data set outside the municipal border. When we see blue here, you see, it doesn't mean that these streets do not have a park in 500 meters walking distance. It means the data set that is included, this is only relevant for the municipal border, okay? So do not draw conclusions outside of the municipality, okay? When we have the, when there is the analysis, for instance, shortest distance to, let's see, metro stops, by default, the analysis layer includes the locations of the stops. You don't have to select this. This is automatically done. This is the future subway stops, for example. You see the change here. Again, the legend gives us in meters. So within 100 meters walking distance, within 250, and so on. If we see the schools, shortest distance to schools, again, with you see how the streets, how close they are, and then you also see the point of the school in orange. Accessible FSI and accessible GSI, you see in red. I mean, you can recognize, of course, the highly dense parts of the city. And then again, you have the legend that is makes sense for this particular analysis. For a centrality, and then for the accessibility, let's see, accessible local markets within 500 meters. The legend here actually gives, the number is how many. So when you see here 0, it means that they do not have any shop or restaurant or cafe within 500 meters walking distance. If you see 5 to 9, it means that they actually have 5 to 9 points, local markets points. Can be a grocery store, can be a cafe, can be a restaurant, doesn't matter, but it's 5. So the number there means actually how many, okay? But if we go to the centrality measures, because centrality is a relative measure, it's not something we count, okay? It's not 200 or it's a relative measure. We say this is more central than the other, right? It makes sense, right? Otherwise, we cannot judge what is more central than what. So there, what the legend gives you percentages, if you see. So with red, you see the streets that on the city scale are the top 5% more central streets. And then in blue, you see the 25 lowest, for example. So we go from red to blue, more central to less central. And you see the results. You can recognize, of course, the center. You can recognize partition. You can recognize these big arteries. And you can see some glimpses of Athinon, Ieraodos, and so on. But as you see, they are not red all the way. Why? Can you think? So these big streets here, these are Athinos, Petrourali, Kavalas. And in 3 kilometers, you see, they are not red all the way. I will help you. It's a bit complicated. Yes, you have an idea. Yes, say it. It doesn't matter. Uh, you are partly right because Kifisu is missing because we are looking at the pedestrian. The other thing is that these streets are only relevant. It has to do with what you said in the larger scales. We're going into more regional scales. So, for example, if we go to 1 kilometer, they disappear completely. You see? Why? Because they don't have local connections. Think about Ieraodos, for example, and then you have Leonas and all of that. There are no side connections on the local scale. Hmm? On the other hand, you see Patricia and Partition, for instance. Partition is one of the streets that is very central in the global scale, in the city scale. But then you see 1 kilometer, it's also central. And I mean, you can see it because it has connections on the local scale, the neighborhood scale. Hmm? Okay. And then you see here we see integration, and then you also see in the local integration, you see more local centers popping up. I recognize, for example, I grew up in Peristeri, for example. I see this popping up. There is a local center there. You see Pagrati, you see some local centers, neighborhood centers. What else? You see distance, shortest distance to local markets. Basically, the whole municipality is quite well covered. We know that. I mean, in Athens is a kind of a quite mixed use city, we would say, the municipality. If you would see the results for Gothenburg, you would see a completely different picture. Then you would, on local markets, you would only see in the center and in some local markets. There is not this kind of mixed use urban fabric that Athens has. Another reason why centrality, we use these percentages or high and low, is that what is central for Athens is not central. No, actually the other way around. If we see in Athens the centrality results, let's see here, and we see, oh, this is not central here. This is not very central. The same thing in Gothenburg would be considered highly central. Okay, so because if we say Athens has low density, for example, in Sepolia, let's say now, it's more dense than Gothenburg center. I am exaggerating, but just to see that centrality and density, these are relative measures. Okay, so we know that Athens in general is dense and mixed use in the municipality, at least. And there, I mean, you say, okay, so within this kind of highly dense area, what are the local variations? Because not all neighborhoods are equally dense or equally mixed use. Hmm? Okay, but let's say, so this is the existing situation, and you have this. And let's say now we want to do, to change some things. So I will just, you can just save this map, give it a different name, so let's say future, no? So you see, you have two tabs now in your workspace. One is called map one, and the other one is the analysis. The map has the base layers, and the analysis window has the analysis results. Yes? You can save both of them and keep them, and then you have a different extension. For example, if we save map, and then when we save as, the extension you see is UC map. Okay, so I will just save it now and call this future. Save as, and you can also save the analysis, and then this extension would be UC analysis. Okay, UC analysis. So if you save the map, the base maps is UC map. If you save the analysis results, is UC analysis. You can open this layer, these files only if you have first opened Urban Calculator. It's not like other software, for example, that you can click on a drawing and AutoCAD opens. Okay, first you open Urban Calculator and then you open the files. Okay, so I will also save this. I have this, okay. You can call existing. I will call this existing. And we need the existing situation because later on we do before after. So this is the existing situation, okay? Uh, Ready? Yes. Do you have a future map? We need a map that is not, that we will modify now. We will modify. So save it. Save the existing as it is. Who doesn't have a copy? It's a basic copy. We didn't, the existing situation, we didn't change it, but save it as because this we change now. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we can modify the network. All right. We can modify the network. So you have a pencil. You see a draw. You have a pencil there in the toolbar. It will be easier for you because of Zoom now I have a bit of a lagging thing. But if you see, you can start drawing. So basically, let's say, now we'll just play around a little bit just to show you how, and you can do the same. Then we do an exercise that makes sense. But let's say now I start to, you can start adding, just click, and where is my pencil? Here. Just draw no lines. You can just easily draw lines because it will, it snaps to the nearest intersection and so on. So you can just add, you can select, there is a lasso tool, you can select and delete one street or many streets, and you can just delete. Now I demolished part of the city. So you see existing streets in black. Now I deleted some, so you see in gray what was there before, and the new streets you see as red. So I added some streets. You can add some. Now, what do you see popping up when you add new streets? What is popping up? You see these green circles popping up. Huh? So that means that you have to think, is it a bridge? If it's a bridge, you leave it there. Is it not a bridge? If then you have to link it. You have like a chain here. It's like it's not a chain, well, how can a link. It's called link. So you press this button and then you press this the green circles to remove them. So to link the streets there, to make it a regular intersection. Hmm? So just do some, some basic changes. Just play around a little bit to see. And then the idea is that you can analyze this first, see the results. We'll do that. Or from the beginning, you can make an alternative scenario now. So start from the existing map, or based on this one, say, okay, maybe this is it, but maybe, I also want to test that. You save it again. Okay, but raise your hands if you don't have any. Are you ready to analyze? Yes? Yes? Okay. But then you can analyze as we did before. And now the future situation, what you did. I will do the same. Mm. Nothing. That means it's okay. Yeah. Um, no, if you deleted it, you have to redo it. Yeah. Um, are you analyzing? Yes. Did it finish? Almost. Huh? Okay. So we can synchronize. We can synchronize the views now because now we have a before and then we have an after analysis. Yes, we analyze the existing situation. I have it here. And then we have the future situation. We have the same analysis, but now I see different things. If we see, okay, so this is, I like this view. So we can synchronize the two. And how to do that is this edit, copy viewport, and then you go to the existing analysis and you click edit, apply viewport. Okay, so then now we have the same Zoom. You see, it's the same Zoom, but a different analysis. Of course, I will just synchronize the analysis as well. Um, yeah. No, this will happen automatically when you export. But now, before we export, if you want to compare before you export the PDFs, then yes, you should compare the same analysis. But what I mean is that now we synchronize the pan and the zoom. You see? Because now you can switch on and I mean you can switch between the windows and have the same view. But let me what I did though, because you see that in my existing analysis, I had switched on the buildings. Maybe you did it as well. For the future, I forgot to switch off the buildings. You can decide that if you want to see it or not. That's why. But then I can do it now. Have a run the existing situation without the buildings. Uh, no, but what you can, in any case, it's only the buildings you can switch on and off because the attraction layers will be exported, will be shown automatically. Yeah. No, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Um, δεν πειράζει. Εντάξει, ναι. Αλλά δεν το χρειαζόμαστε το Zoom τώρα. Ναι, έλατε. Να το σταματήσω. Θα το κάνουμε έτσι. Ωραία, άσε. Αν ξανά έχω θέμα, θα το κάνουμε. Εντάξει. Για πείτε μου πότε τέλεια. Έχετε τελειώσει με την ανάλυση, Οκ, τέλεια. Λοιπόν, τώρα θα κάνουμε export. Λοιπόν, file export. Δώστε ένα όνομα. Ναι, sorry. Ναι, γιατί... Οκ, λοιπόν, είπαμε θα κάνουμε synchronize. Τώρα, αυτό είναι μένα το future analysis. Και τώρα θα κάνω με τον ίδιο τρόπο, δηλαδή copy viewport και τη νέα ανάλυση που έκανα χωρίς τα κτίρια για να μπορούμε να συγκρίνουμε. Edit, apply. Οκ. Ωραία, τώρα τα έχουμε κάνει synchronize τα view. Ωραία, οπότε τώρα export. Λοιπόν, τώρα βλέπετε ότι έχετε να επιλέξετε. Αυτό σημαίνει ότι καμιά φορά έχουμε όπως είπα στην αρχή, έχουμε existing και έχουμε σενάριο 1, σενάριο 2, 4, 5. Θα επιλέγουμε μέχρι 3, μπορούμε να κάνουμε export την ίδια στιγμή. Οπότε, εγώ τώρα θα επιλέξω το future και το 2 που έκανα που είναι το δικό μου το existing. Export. Λοιπόν, κάντε αυτό και θα δείτε τι θα αρχίσουν να βγαίνουν τώρα. Τα αποτελέσματα, εγώ έχω βάλει 2 αυτή τη στιγμή και μπορούμε να έχουμε 3. Βαγγέλη, δεν βλέπω. Οκ, εδώ είμαστε. Λοιπόν, τώρα, λογικά στο Zoom που έχετε επιλέξει, βλέπετε όλες τις αναλύσεις before-after. Έτσι δεν είναι? Yes.
That before you show the option of clicking to different tabs. Now that I'm going to export, it doesn't give the option for any tab choice. I did an export with one tab.
Because we only had one analysis window. Analysis. Yes. Because we compare before-after analysis. So you need at least one. If you had just... But it was a map. An analysis. Yes. So you had, and then you decided to click on the only analysis. Right? And then you got one window. Yes.
Now that I'm going to export again,
No, can you check? Yeah, because you should. If you have 2 analysis windows.
the previous analysis and the future analysis.
No, exactly. Or maybe you want to compare 2 scenarios. You just select this. Basically, you select which ones to have together on the PDF. Okay.
You have to check the same amount.
No, it's... No, here you just compare the same map, the same analysis, but with different maps, meaning different design interventions that you have. Okay. It exports all maps. So here, if you get the PDF now, you should have around 20, you have all of them. So it comes automatically, everything you have analyzed, yes. You just switch on, you see that the PDF has around 20 pages or so, right? Because it's all the analysis together. How are you doing at the back? Yeah, good. Now, depending on what changes you did in the beginning, in some analysis, you see bigger changes than in others. You see what I mean? Depending on of course, depending on the interventions, in some analysis, you see big changes on the before and after, and in other analysis, you don't, actually, because it didn't affect that much. This is also a valid result. Because you do an intervention, you need to see, okay, do I have an impact? Do I change the centrality? Yes or no? But you also ask, okay, do I change the accessibility to schools? No, good. Okay, this is also a result of the analysis. Because that means that you get, because the idea is that you are in the sketching phase, then you get indications, okay, do I need to go deep into the schools, for example? If you don't see any changes, maybe your plan does not affect accessibility to schools, then you leave it. Or you say, no, because I want to improve it and I don't. Then you go and then you continue. But if actually it's fine, and then you don't you don't do anything to decrease anything, accessibility, for example, to schools, then okay, good. So it gives you an indication on where you have to go deeper into the analysis. But exactly, but because now we just did the random things. But of course you have a design task, right? Yes, and we will do one task now, for example. I will give you a task because of course you need to have an idea, otherwise, and based on a target. What is the point of this? And also you need to understand the scale of interventions. What else do we? Another feature that you may find useful is to add. If we go back to the drawing board, let's say, what I said in the beginning, maybe you have a sketch, or maybe you want to bring an aerial photo if you don't know the city very well, and so on. So you can do that in the layers panel. You can add, you can click on this button of an image here, and then you can bring in a JPEG or a PNG or something like that. Where do we have it? Here. Yeah, for example, we just have a background image here, and this you can move. You can move and you can scale, and you can just put it up. But I mean, this is just an example. You might have a sketch. You might have you might want to assess a plan from the municipality. You can put it there on the background, edit, and run the analysis. No, you move it. Yeah, exactly. You move it and you drag it, and then this and that. And you see it as a new layer. I will switch it off. What else? Study areas. Yes. Yeah. So you have to be in in the drawing board, not in the analysis. Okay. And then in the layers panel, you have this button here. It's an image with a plus. So add image layer, and then you have to find a JPEG or a PNG, an image format. You click it. It's empty because you don't have one. I mean, this is an image that you have. You save it somewhere. You see? Now we have it's not the images we do not give with it. Okay, but because it's something you might want a background to help you design. That's it. That's the purpose of it. Okay, one last functionality is this is called study areas. Let's say that, I mean, it's important, of course, always, all the analysis by default take into account the whole network. I mean, that's a basic methodological principle. Okay, everything is analyzed within the whole network. But sometimes, I will show you an example. Let's go to the existing situation. Here you see that the centrality on the city scale, so the integration in 3 kilometers, we get the basic understanding of how the centrality is kind of allocated, distributed in the whole city. But if we, for some reason, want to focus in this area around Patition, everything is red. So, it doesn't really, I mean, you don't see the local variations. and we don't want to do, we could do 1 kilometer, but then, as we said, this will give us the role, the centrality of the street in relation to its local context, in relation to its 1 kilometer radius. We see local variations. For example, you see it's evident some streets are more central than others, but I don't want to see this. I want to see in the Patissyon area which street has the highest city scale centrality. And this does not help me, because what I get here is that all streets have high centrality because they are compared to other neighborhoods. Okay, so to help me get these local variations, we have added a new functionality that's called study areas. And what we do is you have this like a magnifier button here. And when you click it, you see a new window popping up that is called study areas. And then I clicked this one that is like a magnifier glass, you see? It's called study areas. And then with a plus, we can add a study area. We can add many study areas. Let's say I will put now, whatever area, 1. Okay. And then I can add 2, 3 given names. And then, you start again with a basic window. And then you drag it and move it and scale it. And then select the study area you want. And now, once we did that, if I analyze again, I will just now keep the centrality analysis ticked. So if I analyze again, I will get the results on the city scale, on the whole city, but I will also get the results on the area. The numbers, the calculations are exactly the same. This is important to remember. It's just a visualization. Because what happens here is that, let's do it like that. Look at that so you understand. You see, pay attention. This area is all red, okay? If I click just my area, what do I see? Patissyon and some other street, because in this study area, these are the most central in comparison to their neighbors here, okay? But the whole area is central, okay? Is this clear? It is very important to always, because one thing that it's not only, I mean, people who analyze and people who use it as planners, let's say this is a common mistake. The common mistake is this: just because you have been assigned to redesign a specific area, this is not an island again. I mean, you cannot analyze it in itself. You have to analyze it in relation to the context every time. It's just a matter how you visualize in order to get informative images, let's say. But you cannot just cut it and design it and analyze it as if it was an island. Okay? Is this clear? And it's mostly, this is very relevant, especially for centrality results, because as we said, centrality is a relative measure. So we need really to see things in comparison to the other to understand. You see? Okay. Mhm.
Isn't it similar to identifying the scale of analysis? For example, if you do the analysis on 500 meters, you get a sense of the local centrality, while if you do it on 5 kilometers, you get the regional centrality.
No, it's not that. Why? I will show this again. If you get let's say we see the full map, this is the city scale, so to say. Now you see it's all red. The area that I'm interested in is all red. That means all the streets have a high city scale centrality, but it doesn't help me understand within this neighborhood, Patission area, which one is the most central. The local scale analysis will not help me understand this, because the local scale analysis, which is this one, will tell me which street has the highest local centrality. But actually, I want to see which street has the highest global centrality. And then I need the study area. You see that, because look at the results here, for instance. This is city scale centrality. This is local scale centrality. And this is my study area, city scale centrality, but for this small neighborhood. And here is when I get the main street. Good. These are local variations that, because you're more advanced, I mean, it's kind of a betweenness, that betweenness might give you this linear variation. I think this is the basic things for the demo. You have the PDF, you have a 2-pager with the simple instructions. The task, I will give you a task so you can just sit and experiment a little bit. The task is, let me see where I have it. It's in the, okay, I will just describe it, doesn't matter. So you see in the map, we have given you the tracks. Map 2. You have a layer that's called the railway. So the task is to select 3 connections over the rail tracks. You can select the rail tracks that start from the Larissa station area going north, or you can select the Konstantinopoulos that is around Keramikos, Gazi. Okay? So the task is to create 2, listen up, the task is to create 2 scenarios and just select 3 key connections over the tracks. Do you understand? The 2 scenarios can be from the beginning, you start with 2 scenarios, or it can be that you do one and then you modify based on the results. You do one scenario, you analyze, you see the results, and then you modify it a little bit. Yeah? But the 2 scenarios have to be kind of in the same area of intervention so that we can compare. Okay. A tip. You have to decide your strategy. The strategy here, what is the aim? Because let's say we know that the train tracks create barriers. For instance, we know that, for example, here you see there is a small, how do you say, if you see the local centrality, you see the impact of the rail tracks here, right? You see it here. You have areas of centrality, but once we go closer to the tracks, because they create a barrier. They disconnect the network. It's only a handful of streets that cross the tracks, Αγίου Μελετίου, and I mean a couple others. That's why. So you see that you have neighborhoods here that are disconnected. You have Sepolia or Kolonos on one side, and you have the Patissia and what's it called? Anyway, the Patission area on the other side, but these are not, the neighborhoods are disconnected. Now, there can be different strategies on that. One is to select, because we have 3 connections, let's say. What is the strategy? Is it to connect main streets of 2 different neighborhoods to each other? So that means to create a strategic link. Is this a strategy? If we want, if the aim is to reconnect the disconnected neighborhoods, how do we do that? And we only have 3 links. That means we cannot connect all streets. So a strategy could be to connect the main streets, the streets that have the centers or the local centers. That could be one strategy. The other strategy could be that I want to connect everything to Patission because this already has a potential of centrality and I want to connect everything else there. Another strategy would be, I don't care about any of that. The local centers are good. And I just want to connect the people living, like say, close to the rail tracks as much as I can. I mean, so there are different ways to go about this. But a good tip is always to connect things that have a potential, that are central. Because why? Because if you connect 2 things that are disconnected, you will not have a big impact. But if you connect 2 things that are already connected, you will have a huge impact. Because the aim of the intervention is not only to connect A to B, is to spread the impact, right? So to have an intervention and an investment that has contextual effects, systemic effects. It does not only have an effect on the local, on the specific location, but it benefits the city in a larger extent, okay?